because they are expected to hire Kellen Moore, barring any major setbacks in the organization. And, a lot of talk about Kellen Moore being here at the Super Bowl. Is he going to be focused? I feel like kind of those conversations creeping in when the Lions fans were pissed because Ben Johnson, they felt like he sold it. He already knew he was taking the Bears job. I'm hoping that's not the case here, but what are you kind of expecting here with Kellen Moore being hired potentially by the Saints? Maybe some pros and cons here for us on the show, man.
Yeah, I talked about Kellen Moore maybe a week or two ago, and I don't think there's a shame, AJ, in being a great coordinator. I mean, you look at Spags with the Chiefs, like, I don't think there's an issue with knowing your spot in the NFL, especially if you're in a really good spot. Like Cliff Kingsbury this year didn't want to leave Washington for, no offense to you, but the New Orleans Saints, because
hey, it's not taken.
Ultimately, it's probably the worst job to take in football right now. It's just a depleted organization that they have no future hope right now, right? And I mean, unless it's an Andy Reid or some revolutionary coach, I don't think I would support it anyways. But Kellen Moore going, I think it's a false lead. I think Kellen he's good, but he's also had the benefit of the doubt with great offensive talent. I mean, this year was Saquon, Jalen Hurts. Years before that, Justin Herbert. I mean, that offense failed as well. Like, I like Kellen Moore, but to the point he's going to be a head coach, I don't know. It's nice that they could get an offensive mind in there, like you were saying, AJ. That would be a good change up for sure. But again, I just don't think Kellen Moore is the long-term answer. And I think it's a recipe for disaster. Just like Gerard Mayo was this year with the Pats, we knew he wouldn't do anything because the team just wasn't there. They had a long-term plan with Mike Vrabel set up, and anybody would have known that was watching. I think it's the same thing with Kellen Moore. I don't know the long-term plan, but I think we're in a similar situation.
Yeah. Wow. Gerard Mayo, Patriots comparison. Look, I'm not going to knock you for it, man, because, you'll hear in my spiel here with the segment. It's rough for sure. It's definitely going to be rough. Him being covered up by great offenses, now dealing with the best roster in the NFL, the best defense, the best coordinator. It's definitely remarkable to see what he's been able to do, but it's an absolute dumpster fire in New Orleans. And there's a lot of work to be done. Destiny, I appreciate you being in the chat. Said he's born and raised a Chief fan. After 21 years, it feels good to finally win. Wish I could relate to my team going to 3 straight Super Bowls, going for a three-peat. Didn't a Bears fan troll Caleb Williams acting like Ben Johnson? Then Ben actually took the job a couple weeks later. Yes, you are remembering that correctly. I don't even know how that was able to play out, but yes, that is true for sure. When you talk about some pros here with Kellen Moore coming to the New Orleans Saints, thankfully he's offensive minded. That checks a box that all Saints fans wanted. He's an excellent play caller, which is very good to see. He's young, plenty of experience. He'll become a head coach in his 8th year coaching in the NFL, and he's outside of the Sean Payton era. He's outside of the building. The only person I wanted as a Saints fan to possibly be in the building and take that job would have been Darren Rizzi, because he was the interim. Players bought in on him. He had the blessing of Alvin Kamara. He had the blessing of plenty of players saying that they wanted him to be the coach. But with Kellen Moore being outside of the Sean Payton era, not knowing really any of those principles, it is going to come down to Mickey Loomis allowing him to really hire his staff, like he said, kind of backtracking on it, saying that now he wants to keep some assistants and possibly coordinators. But every job is open for the Saints right now. Quarterback coach, running back coach, offensive line coach. I want to say linebackers coach as well. We're still looking for an offensive and a defensive coordinator. So it's going to be interesting to see how Kellen Moore really plugs in. But believe it or not, Kellen Moore is a winner. Now, 2019 and 2020 with Dallas are definitely outliers. Jason Garrett's 9th and final season in 2019, they went 8-8, so he did the best that he could there. Dak got injured 5 games into the season in 2020, but then back-to-back 12-win seasons in 2021 and 2022. Justin Herbert got injured in 2023. That was Kellen Moore's only season with them. And now he runs a top 10 offense. I want to say 7th in yards, 8th in points, maybe switch the two of those, with the best roster and the best defense in the NFL. And now he's in the Super Bowl in 2024. So it shows you when he's healthy, when he's able to have good players at his disposal, he's elite. And when Philadelphia wins the Super Bowl, Saints fans are going to be gushing at the seams. I mean, seriously, they are going to be begging at Kellen Moore. They are going to be throwing him the checkbook. I'm not saying that's going to be me, because we haven't been able to stay healthy. We've had ridiculous amounts of injuries. We don't have a loaded roster. We have an old defense. We have old players. We have a meddling worst general manager in the league, maybe next to Jerry Jones, however you want to slice that pie. But when you look at some of the cons and kind of some of the pushback that you had as well, JV, minimal talent offensively, a porous offensive line who was 20th in the league in sacks given up with 37. It's not a loaded roster as the past 3 teams that he was with. worst situation in the league. Can he pull off a 2 to 3 year rebuild? I'm a firm belief that if the next coach that we have, he could be like a Gerard Mayo. He could be like an Antonio Pierce, really be a one and done, because this is a 2 to 3 year rebuild. This is not going to be a Washington Commanders. This is not going to be a Cincinnati Bengals type rebuild. This is not going to be a Houston Texans type of turnaround. You're $50 million over the cap. You have over $100 million in dead cap, or cap hits, from players that are 32 plus. So it's just a lot of negatives here for the Saints that Kellen Moore hasn't seen before. Can he handle no money to spend with cap space? And can he handle Mickey Loomis? I'm not too confident in that. He is going to be a first-year head coach, as you guys saw me post with the short video. So there's a lot of pros that Kellen Moore himself brings in, but there's a lot of cons within the New Orleans Saints organization that makes you wonder, how successful will he really be? Overall, I'm happy to have someone of this ilk willing to coach us, considering how awful the situation is, but I'm 100% proceeding with caution, and I'm really hoping that the Saints aren't being a prisoner of the moment with the 55-point NFC Championship game blowout of a young team in the Washington Commanders that was playing with house money.
Hey, it's AJL here. Appreciate you sticking to the end of the video here on YouTube. You could have chose any other show, but you chose my video, and for that, I'm very grateful. If you haven't already, please make sure to like and subscribe to the channel. Follow me on social media. Hit the bell on the channel so you never miss a post. Check me out on all social media platforms. Right here, you'll find a chance to subscribe to the show, a related video, and a playlist. See you guys in the next one.